outside of Bumper Car and the riders that come from Bumper Car, you don't really have good tools to be dealing with Divine Shield. You don't even have like a small one-attack weapon, right? Unless you are adapting to Orange build, because all of your weapons are 3 attack, and you want them to be meaningful swings that are either going face or killing meaningful minions. So even just early game McGurgle coming down and then landing the Hand of Adar and all that kind of stuff coming through, and then Carousel Griffin coming down in the mid game, all of those tools can just end up being super powerful. So I do think the assessment of like the onus is on Viper to build a board is correct. But if Blyze can get that conditioning down, which is what really bridges the gap and makes his minions overstatted instead of understatted, then it can reverse very quickly.
Okay, well, so far, getting that bumper card just does look pretty nice here for Blyze, because he not only has that bumper card tokens, but has the Playmaker, Parade Leader, or both to really cash in on that value.
Now you're
making
talking.
noises.
Nerolix on 3. Weapon on 4, but then you don't play Kazakus on 4. Like, I really like Weapon on 4, because then you attack on 4, 5, 6, and then you curve into Dragonmaw Skystalker, coming down on 6 as the weapon breaks. And then that Dragonmaw Skystalker, which gains Divine Shield, also then corrupts your Carousel Griffin. So I like the way that lines up. The problem there is that you're not playing Kazakus on 4 with that curve, which I think is probably just too much of a sacrifice to be facing. So instead, he's going to go Weapon Swing now, Kazakus on 4, Weapon Swing again, 5-mana Golem, give all of that stuff Divine Shield on turn 5 instead, which I like a little bit more.
Or even, honestly, just make the call at the point, right? He could just wait a turn if he really wants to do it with the Dragon Maw, so he still has the flexibility there, so I like this as well.
I think that's going to be largely influenced by whether or not he gets offered Summon a Copy, right?
Yes, yes.
Or Divine
and
Shield.
Divine Shield, yeah, I was going to say. And the important part there, I think, is out of all of that set of options for the next few turns, Nerolix definitely has the highest chance of doing the least, right? So that's the one you want to cut out of that equation.
He whiffed. Saw the look on his face. Looks like he was definitely going for Summon a Copy, which of course makes sense. I imagine in which case he perhaps skipped on Divine Shield as well, if that was his reaction.
We'll get that checked out as to what it is, but I imagine draw 2 was the option again. Yep.
Sorry, what was it? I looked away for a split second.
Something and draw 2.
Oh.
I didn't see the top. The flash was very quick.
Fair enough.
Here we go again. Rush and draw 2. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, it kind of hardly seems worth giving this Divine Shield at this point, right? I guess you can rush in, then attack the bumper car, which is probably fine, but it feels bad still because you're attacking a bumper car, which is, when I was talking about ways to deal with Divine Shield, literally putting the answers back in your opponent's hand.
Oh, right into turn 5 conditioning as well.
Yep. And now Blyze just has the business. He just has Playmaker, Parade Leader, Coin Stuff next turn for infinite board.
For a good time.
And he can do this, right? He doesn't have enough mana even with the coin to use all of the riders. So use the mana now, get that Divine Shield gone, and go again. But Viper, Viper's not got nothing, right? Hammer of the Narrow is one heck of a card as well, right? Just summoning an additional 6/6 taunt and having that weapon start peeling off some of these minions.
These old bones just keep moving. Here for a good time.
It's just infinite board clear. Like, show me a board this doesn't clear. Oh, wait.
This, but with Divine Shield.
This, but 3 times as many of them. Yes, no, it's not actually that hard.
You asked all, I answered.
I know.
But yeah, Viper, really not happy with the outcome there, as now he's very behind, and this is the thing he can't afford to be right now.
Yeah.
Hammer the Naru is a decent start, though. He can play it and then swing into this 5-3, get that 6-6 taunt up, which to an extent challenges the board, and get Oh My Yogg down just to get out of the way. Oh, Carousel Griffin instead.
Okay, so hand?
I suppose?
Sword? Not sure one extra health is super relevant here. Very hard to like adjust for the various breakpoints that a duplicated, buffed, rushing minion X from hand would have into this, but yeah. Feels like sword thinning deck is probably more relevant than +2/+1 drawing a card. Viper's clearly
like
having
a Hearthstone card.
What?
Sword thinning deck.
The sword of deck thinning.
Yeah. I don't know. I was really looking at that at the hammer, honestly. It just felt like it did more. Yeah, he takes 5, but I'm pretty sure Viper's expected to take a lot of damage now anyway.
Wait, gross. Actively disgusting, Raven. Yep, Warlock Challenger hits twice. Once for 1, and then again for 3, and then the 5-3 just trades through. He can even just trade the 8-1 if he wants to. I kind of like giving up 5 damage, though, just to double buff everything you have. Am I being dense? I guess it's just so much damage.
Yeah,
it's just so much damage. Yeah, it's fair. It's fair enough. Alex Straza in hand 2 turns away as well, right? Just dunking the damage seems...
Yeah, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he probably could have done either and still been in a fantastic position and win the game. So
yeah.
It's
big deal that turn is that the Warlock Challenger was just filth, right? Because of the breakpoint of 1 into 3 is the first 2 sources of damage. It was just way too strong.
Normally you're expecting that to just ping the Divine Shield, right? And that's about it, but it got that extra work done. Blyze going off to a lightning fast game number 1 victory, as we expect from him, honestly, with that warrior as well. So again, just really interesting so far. I am really enjoying this playoff meta of a huge clump of people are playing these really jam-packed, super controlled late game lineups, and then you've got like Blyze on one hand playing Rush Warrior, the Rogue, and the Demon Hunter, and on the other hand you've got like Frenetic playing Token Druid Face Hunter, and they're both in the same position of going in as the bottom 2 in the top 8, and they both seem to be performing so far.
Yeah, exactly. And so far, it seems like the 2 people in that list that have avoided the greed, right, are being successful. Frenetic already there. Blyze, you could say now in a favorable position, but I don't think that's necessarily true until the Priest gets involved in this series.
And here we go.
And right on cue, here comes the Priest from Blyze. But yeah, rewind. Remember to the debate we were having about that turn from Viper, where we were talking about like the extra health from Hand of Adal? Turns out making it 10 attack actually ended up being more relevant than it having 8 health, because then the Warlock Challenger wouldn't have survived the first attack, and that dramatically reduces the amount of damage that would have gone through on the other side. So interesting that very close decision from Viper ended up mattering a little bit, and I use the word mattering very loosely because Blyze was like,
what do you want anyway?
3 miles ahead in that game, but just kind of interesting that what was clearly a very close decision did end up being very close and actually being impactful in the iteration that we had.
Yep, another glance once again at Blyze's controlled Priest. Again, fairly standard N'Zoth style with that Mutinous in there too. And he's going to be going up against Viper's Paladin. So Viper going back-to-back Paladin games now. And although we've seen Paladin beat up some of the slower Priest decks, this is a slightly more streamlined list, right? There's no Cthulhu, there's no like just craziness into like 18 different win conditions. It's slightly more acceptable in terms of dealing with a deck like Paladin. So Blyze does have an okay chance in this matchup specifically.
He does. This is basically RDU's Priest list plus Mutinous, which I think puts him in a better spot overall than RDU was. And again, I think this is a matchup where Priest definitely has some wiggle room. Just start fast, start hard, and just stick the board and keep it for the entire game. That's going to go away very quickly because Viper has drawn Perfect Curve going first here. Going first in Hearthstone is incredibly powerful at the moment. There are very few decks that really want to have coin. But I did mention when we were talking about ways to win this as Priest, I specifically shouted out Sethic Holy Smite, right, as the open. Sorry, we'll get to this. I specifically shouted out Sethic Holy Smite as a way that you could do it, and I think Blyze holding on to the Holy Smite kind of paid to that. But Raven, have you ever seen a person more sick of seeing a card than Viper is towards the card Reckoning?
No, I've not. This is pretty rough, right? Like 2 of his secrets in the opening hand against Priest. Priest often is quite good at even dealing with the secrets as well, right? So it's not as if it's one of those matchups where the secrets really do carry you with that kind of momentum. Priest can normally either ignore them or take them to pieces pretty easily. So honestly, just bad to worse for Viper right now, but there is still time. Although Viper doesn't think so.
Yeah, Viper certainly thinks this is the worst thing that has ever happened to a human being. And honestly, it's not far off.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. Do what xBlyzes gets here.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? You take it. Oh, Viper, if you watch this back, I'm honestly not like laughing at you. It just is a bit funny, that's all. It's just every turn is a shake of the head and like, oh, I can't believe this is happening.
This was the one thing didn't want to happen.
I'm going to keep that tempo up, right? So broom weapon, go. Keeping the pressure on.
Definitely weapon, but the question is, like, do you even swing the weapon this turn? Like, what is your long-term plan? I can't see a real reason not to, I suppose.
Yeah, it's only really bothered about the last charge. xBlyzes isn't running weapon removal, there's no ooze. So Viper has, outside of very, very strange circumstances, just full control over when this weapon goes off.
Yeah. So, Carousel Griffin coming down. Viper again has to choose whether or not he wants to swing in this position. He did this, I'm not sure if it was last game, it might have even been last series, but there was a turn where I wanted to talk about the old Hunter Bow dynamic because he used up his second to last swing, which I think is the most important swing with a weapon like this. Back in Hunter decks that used to play weapons and secrets, the second to last swing was important because that was kind of the last one you could actually use. The last one you wanted to hold on to because you wanted to wait for your secrets to get procced so you can continue to have a weapon. So I'd see a lot of people use their second to last swing to just swing face or whatever, and then just be like, well, I've still got another one left. But no, you haven't, right? Because you can't actually use that one because you want to continue getting value out of secrets. It's a very similar dynamic with this weapon where I think holding on 2 is actually a fairly reasonable thing to do because what if he needs to swing into a minion, right? Like what if he wants to use this 2 damage and a broom to take care of a Sethic, but he's not particularly happy with that turn the rest of the board getting Divine Shields, right? Like it's a very fine balancing act as to whether or not you want this Death Rattle to be going off at any given turn.
Yeah, even now, right? Like, even though you could say, oh, well, he wants both these minions to potentially have Divine Shield next turn, he can swing, so he's got the option. But even this turn now, he is safe through the Hysteria, right, as a response, because only one has Divine Shield.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is pretty tricky to decide what exactly you want. But now, trade, Dragon, not necessarily in that order.
Trade, Dragon. Yeah. The other option is Hand of a Doll, but I think I like that less because you can't then get another big minion down. Yeah, I think I like it. Trade with the Divine Shield, play the Dragon, trade with the weapon, 3 big Divine Shield minions.
Going into turn 7 as well.
Yeah.
Looks good.
The scary thing is that, like, could Blyze then just Soul Mirror anyway and then also just have 3 big minions, right? That's a little bit scary. Because he is still at 30 at this point. I guess he goes back down to 25 after the attack.
Then you hit him for, what, another minimum 15, 17?
It's not that much against a priest, right? Like, if that would involve leaving up their whole board, and you haven't really seen any renews, apotheosis, etc.
Right.
We can see the hand's perfect to respond to that kind of play, because he'd be able to go like Apo, coin, Xyrella, and just GG at that point, right? Oh, my Yogg would not factor into that because he could still just coin. Yep. I think he Soul Mirror.
Job done.
I'm feeling an Apotheosis Xyrella GG in the future, Raven.
Yeah.
I suppose he can trade. The trades are so good, but it's just so tempting to go face in this position. But maybe the trades are so good that Blyze does just get himself out of trouble. Sorry, that Viper does just get himself out of trouble here.
Yeah, you can effectively have 2 value trades, right, and still push 5 face.
Yep.
Maybe. Oh no, he's just off. Sorry. He could play the red scale and broom, put the 3-4-2-3-1-1 into the 5-6, and just have a 3-4 on the board at the end of the turn as well.
That's fair, yeah.
Because at this point, it sounds like a very all-in play, but he draws, what, 2 cards with the red scale and the North Watch? And he is kind of all-in. He doesn't have any more cards, right? Like, that's just where you find yourself.
The one thing I can tell you is that going face, like, insta-concedes the game against this exact hand that Blyze has. But going face also insta-wins the game against various other hands that Blyze might have. So, like, it is a trap that you could certainly fall into here, potentially. But, okay, yeah, Viper is going to avoid disaster this time around.
Yeah, full trades.
Yeah. Protects himself from the AoE a little bit by maintaining the 5-1.
This is also just as much of a problem, but in the other direction, right? Blyze still has predominantly a clear here. Well, now he does have a clear.
Wait.
Yeah, he could have... Oh, wait. No. He's saving it, right? Because he, Galloping would have procced.
I wanted to gift.
Oh, you wanted to gift? Sorry. Okay, sorry. I thought you wanted to use the plague.
But then I guess you gift, use Xyrella, and then the 3-4 appears afterwards.
Yeah.
5-1 and a 3-4 on the other side of the board, which is still a lot of pressure, to be fair. So yeah, maybe that's fair.
Now, though, outside of N'Zoth, it does look like Viper's slipping just a little bit because we can see there's still a reasonable Xyrella.
Yikes! 3 mana's worth of stuff on turn 10 with 7 mana remaining, and one of them's not even playable.
Does he have to just, like, conviction trade through and then go face with the Alex?
It doesn't even guaranteed land, does it? I guess it did at that point.
Yeah. Before he did all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, pick your poison here.
Yeah.
And now he can force the horse.
Never force the horse, Raven. That sounds like a bad thing to do. Only healed 3 though, right?
Yeah, I did actually think he was going to just hero power his minion. Sorry, hero power his minion. Just hero power his face. Would have been the one he needed, right? But Blyze just saying, nope, I'm still fine.
Turbo greed. Alright, sure. Respect it. It's infinity damage though with conviction,
20?
right? This is so scary.
Yeah, I think it's 20. Unless I can't count.
It is 20, yeah. Blyze and playing greedy is not really 2 things that I associate going together. This is certainly a very greedy line of play so far.
For a second there, I thought Viper was going to pass to play around Xyrella. Oh, there's Renew. There's Plague. There's Condemn. There's just any option you really want. And he's just
Two cards, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the third. Oh, no, Reckoning, of course, yeah, my bad.
He's just been starved out at this point.
Yeah, he needs a top. He needs N'Zoth.
Or to draw exactly into the McGurgle Prime.
The McGurgle's not going to die.
Oh, I mean, like, okay, yeah, not this turn, the turn after. Like, just almost like it trade it and then insta-draw it.
Even then,
Again.
like Hysteria Soul Mirror or something to answer, or like Soul Mirror Condemn, right, to answer
Sure.
the Gurgle Prime board. Like, it doesn't even stick that hard.
Yeah, not anymore.
There's 9 cards left in Viper's deck, and just all the juice is down there.
I just bounced. Look at Viper. Viper's like, what? What's going on?
Viper's just like, am I being BM?
Oh, I told you. Straight off the top every time. It's insane.
Literally achieves nothing, though.
No, I don't even care about what it achieves. I'm just saying it always gets drawn instantly. They've altered the card text. It's ludicrous.
Your point has been well made so far today.
But yeah, there's into that, into whatever. Viper claps. It's one of those games that has looked marginally ridiculous, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just, it happens sometimes where you just think, oh, Priest still has 13 cards in the deck, tons of cards in hand, more answers in hand. It's kind of like when we were talking about Walmar's Control Warrior from last week. It just feels like, well, it's just unfair. Like, how can they remove everything, have threats, and still be ahead in fatigue? These things don't make sense.
And as Blyze slouched back in his chair just then, I can tell you the one thing that was going through his mind, and it's whatever the French for imagine targeting Priest was.
Yeah, just gets bad to worse. Why is this? He's keeping like control of the game though, right? He's not letting this run away with him here. He's like making good trades here, just keeping on top of everything, making sure he's not giving Viper anything potentially to do.
Yep.
N'Zoth though, I mean, it's not called N'Zoth Paladin for nothing. But is it even enough at this point? We can see with a Soul Mirror in hand, I very much doubt it.
Yeah, absolutely not. Even with xBlyzes to go over the top, there's a Scorpid even to deal with the taunt on the other side.
Let me think.
Blyze just a nod and a thumbs up. He just knows, right? He can just get through. It's just not a problem. It's just lethal on board. Nothing he could do. Blyze goes up 2-0 so far, Sottle, and you could almost say 2.5 to 0 because he gets a win with this Priest, which is basically what Viper's lineup was built to deal with.
I mean, if you want to put like a decimal on it, it's like 2.8 to 0 or something, right? Like with Priest getting out of it, like Priest is worth so much of this series. If you want to break it down that way, it's enormous to have won with Priest from this point. And like, he didn't really do anything special with the Priest. You know, I've been kind of building this up as like, you can't really target Priest because Mutinous will scam you, Southsea will scam you, Raised Dead will scam you, something will scam you. You will get scammed. The only thing Viper really got scammed by was his own draws, right? Like, he drew all the secrets, then he drew a bit of mid-game, then he drew every 1-mana card in his deck after that when he reached the late game. Like, it's hard to imagine a worse order to draw those cards in.
I will say as well, it wasn't too long ago at all that Soul Mirror was just not even played in Priest anymore, right? Like, that was not involved, but I do think the Soul Mirror, the second one, obviously a nice safety net, but the original Soul Mirror was actually super clutch in that game. I think without that, that would have been significantly harder for Blyze there to fend off that kind of damage, right? But with the Soul Mirror that's creeping its way back into Priest now, you see why, right? It just does such a hugely powerful thing for just one card.
Yeah, I think particularly motivated by N'Zoth coming back into the meta, right? That's one of the reasons why Soul Mirror really reappeared. It's just so valuable against all those minions coming out on the other side. Perhaps not quite as much as it used to be when N'Zoth was purely Death Rattle based, right? And then Soul Mirror was just brutal because you got all the Death Rattle effects as they traded. But still an incredibly powerful answer to that kind of board state. But Viper now has to go all the way back to the well because he has 3 decks still left remaining to win with, and they have to march one by one through one of the scariest, most explosive decks in the entire metagame.
Yes, Blyze is going to be on not the Miracle Rogue we've been seeing throughout the most of the weekend, at least here in Europe, but he's going to have that Weapon Rogue. And a lot of the time, you are right, and I don't know if you'll agree with this idea in general, but there are certain decks that even, I think, at like a high level of Hearthstone, that you are still scared of just because you know what it can do. Even if it's illogical, right? Even if you say, oh, well, this matchup's 50-50, something runs through your mind that's like, they're just going to draw Shank, and then they're going to draw the poisons, and then there's nothing I can do about it. And like I said, I don't know if that's everyone, but there are certain decks that you do feel like you are going to be helpless or potentially helpless against. And for me, Weapon Rogue is one of them. It feels like, you know, the Shank gets drawn and then it all spirals out of control from there, even though we know that is not necessarily the case.
Yeah, particularly when you're in a headspace, it looks like Viper might be right now as well, right? Like, I think that stuff can stack up very quickly. But even on top of that, just the cold, hard reality is that if you look at legend stats for Weapon Rogue, Warlock is one of the best matchups overall. It's like 70% in this matchup or something ridiculous. And Viper's build is only greedier than what you would expect to see on ladder on top of all of that as well, right? With additional cards in the deck that deal damage to himself.
Exactly.
Doesn't really seem ideal.
The problem is, there aren't even any targets in Rogue that let him just throw them into, right? There's no 6 health minions. So there's just literally nothing he can do about it outside of exactly Enraged Mankrik. Everything else would make Viper deal massive damage to himself. So basically just having unplayable cards in his hand. But yeah, woe indeed. That looked like a Shank to me. Oh yeah, Shank, Secret Passage, Cutting Class as well. Now Swindle to just dig to those poisons. Doesn't look too bad to me, Sottle.
He drew the pink card, Raven. Oh, One Maker on curve even. How good are you at One Maker? Terrible. Utterly shambolic.
I'll raise one question.
Yeah.
If he gets Hunter, he's fine.
Okay, yes.
I'll let him
he
off.
will reinstate his Wand Maker license as long as he gets Hunter.
And there's the clap from Viper straight away. But look, there's the Unstable Shadow Blast in hand, right? Pretty much just a dead card, unusable in all but the rarest of circumstances here.
I'm just going to run a quick ooze check on Viper's deck. Nope, no ooze. Okay, he's dead.
Yeah, okay, well, that's, yeah. Hope you guys had a good time, and we'll see you tomorrow. Just cuts out.
It just literally just smash cuts to black like the ending of the freaking Sopranos.
Here, though, now that Shank has been equipped, Blyze is going to go fishing for some poison. And he's good at it. Mankrik, Deadly Poison. What more do you want from life?
Yeah, Deadly Poison's plenty. That makes the Cutting Class that he has back in his natural hand very, very efficient. That's really all he needed. Can drop the Mankrik for tempo as well on top of this. And he can just start riding this to the bank. There's not even... You know, honestly, when I was talking about those ladder win rates, when I said that Rogue is probably like 70% in this matchup, honestly, I think 25 of that 30% for the Warlock comes from Ogremancer, which is a card that's not even in Viper's deck. Like, that's it. I struggle to imagine a way this works.
I mean, honestly, it's just the bottom 2 weapon, right? Like, that's what has to happen. Bottom 2 weapon probably combined with powerful draws from Viper, like just curving perfectly into a Ticketus that then burns the weapons or something, or burns some poisons, you know? Like, that kind of dream scenario is the thing that gets you wins. The fragments come in at the perfect time, all stacked together, so you heal for a ton. But yeah, Viper is just not having the best time in this series, I imagine. And just a reminder, in case you tuned in recently, this is single limb now for these players. The winner continues on to tomorrow to keep fighting for that one spot at the World Championships that's up for grabs this season. The loser is done.
Make it stop, Blyze. No, won't someone think of the children? Oh, what are you doing to this man? Stop! He's already dead. Actually, stop. This is cruel. This is inhumane.
All he needs
Someone
now
call the police.
is yoink into Hunter. And that's the finisher.
All right, that'll bring me back on board. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Hunter.
Oh, lame. Blyze is flying around the room at this point. He really wanted Hunter. So, I'm unfavored now. There, we do get the rare unstable Shadow Blast attack, though, that isn't going to Viper. So he does get a use out of it in some respect. But 13 health. 6, how much? 10, 11, 12, 13. That looks like lethal to me. Blyze is pumped. We're pumped, but it's going to be the series. Blyze, in true trademark Blyze fashion, goes back-to-back 3-0s here to go through to tomorrow and take that victory over Viper. What a series, Sol. And Blyze, at least he's done a cool pose this time. He is just bounced. He is gone. He is done. He is dusted. And he's going to get ready for tomorrow. But most importantly, the pose was on point. Sol, on a scale of 1 to Blyze, how much did you enjoy that?
Oh my god, that is 12 Blyzes out of Blyze. That was peak Blyze. I would have been so angry if he was still connected by the time we got to the winner's screen. Like, that actually would have ruined the entire experience for me. But yeah, that was savage. And like, what a season this has been for Blyze at this point, right? Like, he has experienced the high highs, the low lows, and the smooth, creamy middles at this point. Like, it's been a ridiculous roller coaster of a season for this man. But like, it's weird because sometimes you watch Blyze play and the word that comes to mind is apathy, right? Like, he just doesn't even seem that interested. He's just sat there in his void, jamming games of Hearthstone, and it